So let's look at a completely and totally oversimplified synapse. Understand this is basic, and I'm just doing this to try to give you a general idea of how incredibly complicated a human brain and even a single neuron is. So I have a stylized synapse here, all right? This is the axon. Remember that the information is sent from the neuron down the axon in this direction, which causes the axon to fire. And when it does, it releases neurochemicals into the synapse, which are then sucked up by the dendrite, which causes the information to go down the dendrite back into the cell, which is causing the next neuron to fire and send out information through its axons. All right? So these individual vesicles hold the neurotransmitter. Let's pick a neurotransmitter that a lot of people are very familiar with, serotonin. Everybody loves serotonin, right? Nobody doesn't like serotonin. Matter of fact, serotonin is the primary drug released when you take the drug ecstasy and MDA. Of course, we don't advocate any illegal use of drugs, but from a scientific perspective, that's what you're looking at. When you do ecstasy, your brain is flooded with serotonin. That's what causes the effect. But serotonin has been recently discussed that it may not actually be involved in depression, but traditionally we talk about serotonin as being involved in the depressive process. So serotonin makes you feel better. You don't have enough serotonin, you get sad, you get depressed. So this neuron, we'll call it a serotonin neuron, releases serotonin into the space, which causes the axon, causes the dendrite to fire. All right? So if you take a drug called a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, what that does is it causes the serotonin to stay in the synaptic cleft a little bit longer before it's sucked back into the cell. So the way it happens is the axon is stimulated, the serotonin shoots out into the synaptic cleft, and it's pretty well picked right back up by the end of the axon in milliseconds. These are measured in milliseconds, tiny, tiny amounts of time. But a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor keeps the serotonin in the cleft for a minuscule amount of time longer, which causes the dendrite to fire more thoroughly, which in some way, which nobody really understands how, improves depression. That's how SSRIs work. So let's look at one of these vesicles. Here you got one of these little vesicles sitting over here, and inside is the serotonin, right? But what keeps the serotonin inside the vesicle, and what causes it to release, and what causes the vesicle to suck it back up? Well, now we're getting really complicated. Now we're getting really tiny, because there's little tiny transmitters that sit on the outside of that vesicle that tell it what to do. Some of them are potassium channels, some of them are calcium channels. Some drugs increase calcium uptake, some drugs decrease calcium uptake. So all of these different receptors allow a chemical to come in on the outside and tells the inside of the cell what to do. Either pick up or kick out or don't. Are you beginning to see the complexity of what's going on inside a human brain? Especially when we're talking about the fact that there are over 1,000 identified neurotransmitters. And we've only carefully studied 20 or 30 of them, but there's constant research going on trying to understand how the inside of a brain works. All of that being said, when we do drugs of any type, I mean, think about it. You're born, your brain develops, it's supposed to have some sort of balance. It's supposed to have the right amount of dopamine and serotonin, endorphin, all of it's supposed to function properly. In normal people, it functions fairly well. Its purpose is to keep you alive on the planet Earth, to allow you to function in a normal way, to recreate, and hopefully at some point to experience some level of understanding or enlightenment or God's love. And at an early age, for me, age 11, for some of you further on, some of you never, you start drinking alcohol or you start doing drugs. So here you have this developing brain, my 11-year-old brain. I'm putting alcohol in it. I'm putting THC in it. I'm putting marijuana in it. And by the age of 14 or 15, I'm putting LSD in it. And at the age of 13, I started putting narcotics in it. And all these other chemicals are now going into my brain and affecting the neurochemistry of how my brain is trying to grow and develop. It's a wonder that I had any chance at all. But like many others who have gone down this road, we have found that through the fellowship of 12-step recovery, we'll be able to restore some sense of sanity. That's what neural repatterning is all about. Neural repatterning is about creating a whole new neural network inside your brain so that ultimately you correct and control to some degree the neurochemistry that's screwed up. And sometimes it takes medications. If you're in recovery and your physician has you on a medication, there should be no guilt or shame in that. We did a lot of damage to our brains. Some people need more than others, right? There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but they too can recover if they have the capacity to be honest, because that's what it takes in recovery, is the principles of honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Because with these, we're well on our way. And all of these principles and all of this program is designed to help you get past the desire to do drugs, to drink alcohol, and to fix your neurochemistry. Thanks for joining us. This is Dr. Tom. If you like this content, please hit like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, share, and check out the suggested videos if you would on the way out. Thanks again.